Here's exactly how to run Facebook ads in 2026. We're going to do a full walkthrough and I'm going to build a sales campaign with you guys from start to finish, explain what all the buttons do, when you'd want to click them, as I possibly can. Now, there are all sorts of businesses watching this video right now. Over the last 8 years, I've run Facebook ads for over 700 different businesses, and very few of them are similar. So I do understand how to run Facebook ads for every single business out there at this point. Even if it's a brand new business that I haven't technically worked on before, I've worked on something close enough and it's not really something that's going to throw me a true curveball. So let's build out the best campaign that I can possibly build with you right now on this YouTube video. In my next video, I'm going to be doing a leads campaign walkthrough. In this one, we're doing a sales. Now, am I going to do the other ones? No, because the first thing that you have to understand is when to choose which campaign. Anytime that the customer is going to be pulling out their credit or debit card at the end of the ad, you are going to do a sales campaign. Anytime they are going to give you name, email, and or phone number and potentially filling out more of a form, but not giving payment info, you're going to do a leads campaign. If you are running ads to an app install, which that is actually one that I haven't done yet, but that would be the one time you would do this. Otherwise, you should never do these, all right? This is going to always give you whatever you ask for as cheap as possible. So awareness, it's going to get you reach for as cheap as possible. And who is cheap to advertise to? People who never spend money. If you want sales, you have to ask for sales. Otherwise, it is going to inevitably find you people who never spend money online. And that will get you likes and that will get you follows. But that's also not good, which is also why you never want to boost a post, because boosting a post is these 3 options are what you're given when you boost a post. And you're going to find people who have no disposable income. They're going to follow you. And then your ads algorithm is going to train itself partially by who follows you. And then you will kind of permanently screw up your account. So do not boost a post. Don't ever do these 3. And you're going to be off to a good start. Let's go with sales campaign. Now, a lot of times after you click sales campaign right there, it will say, do you want to do like a tailored or an automatic campaign, or do you want to do a manual campaign? When in doubt, go manual. The automatic options that Facebook is going to try to default select me into in basically this entire process is just giving Facebook total control. And for a lot of you, you don't really want to give them total control of which age to show to, which gender, even in some cases, which country to show to. You really don't want to just give Facebook total control. And now at this point, this is going to be the big thing going into 2026, is they're trying to take over your content for you. They're trying to edit videos with your images for you and put together a slideshow and run that as an ad. They're trying to use AI to go in and actually mess with your image and create a brand new image. And the default should just be to go manual in all these cases, because you guys know ChatGPT even messes up all the time. We're at a very, still generally new phase with AI across the board, but like this is going to be such a big thing. When we set up this ad, you'll see what I'm talking about. And once we get to actually doing the copywriting and everything, it's going to try to have AI do everything for you. And it's really not going to be a good idea. Just kind of hold that in mind, because everyone has a slightly different ad campaign layout and you're going to see some different suggestions. So go manual when in doubt. The campaign name is the first thing that we're going to choose. So let me explain the relationship between campaign, ad set, and ad very briefly. I know a lot of you already know about it, but campaign is the folder, just as it shows there, that holds everything related to this marketing objective. It would be very common for someone to maybe have a campaign called Black Friday, and then you'd have everything related to your Black Friday sale 2025 within that campaign. Or maybe it would be based on a product name, is more how I'm going to do it. You want a different campaign for every offer that you have. Now, if you just have one offer that you even are going to run ads to for years, it still is better to just keep it in one campaign, because the ads algorithm is going to train itself based off of the conversions that you get for that campaign, right? So you're going to want to do it based on the name of a product. So we're just going to stick with my typical ring light example. So this is going to be my ring light campaign. And naming it, you do want to name it exactly as I did here. Someone who is not good at ads, I can tell because they have very long campaign names, ad set, and ad names. They're going to be like a ring light November 2025, October, whatever. And they're going to like put in the exact date, and they're going to like do some like PJFS, like they're going to have some code in there that only they know what it means. This should be as simple as possible, because once your ad account gets flooded with all these different campaigns and other things, it gets very difficult to manage when you're just looking at all of this unnecessary text. So another very important yet simple sounding tip. So ring light would be what we'd call this. I would just say no to Advantage Plus catalog ads. It basically, what this does is it creates ads for you using the profile picture of your e-commerce store. So like Shopify, for most of you, it's going to take that white background photo and it's just going to make ads using that. I only like it for retargeting campaigns in almost every circumstance, clothing being the only example that I might do this. For the rest of you, just turn this off. Going to be a much better way to go here. Campaign budget or ad set budget. It's basically saying, do I want to say the ring light campaign has $25 a day? Or do I want to say that I'm going to do the budgeting at the ad set level? And then maybe it would look something like this. So this is basically the only time that I do ad set budget. Otherwise, do campaign. Let Facebook decide how much each ad set gets. All right. If I did ad set budget, I would be able to set, hey, United States gets $15 a day. Canada gets $10 a day. If I did campaign budget, I say, hey, the ring light campaign gets 40. So Facebook, if you want to give 18 to United States on one day and 12 to Canada, and then the next day do 20 and 20, it is completely up to you. All right. So this is something that you actually do want to give Facebook the control over, and go with campaign budget in every circumstance, except for when you are trying to split budget geographically and you want control over that, is the only time that I do ad set budget optimization. Now, what should your budget be? I would almost tell every business, like, start at $25 a day is kind of like the magic number. When you have a lower budget, Facebook is actually more picky of who it's going to show the ads to than if you give it a big budget and it's really just trying to spend it all, right? For this ring light, if I give it 25 bucks a day, it's going to be like, here are content creators looking for a ring light. If I did like 100 bucks a day, it's going to be like, here are content creators not really looking for a ring light today, but hey, they're content creators. Maybe you can get them. And then you go to 500 and it's going to be like, this person thought about being a content creator in the past and they never got started, is basically like what happened. So scaling with the company is difficult, because really what scaling is being able to operate at lower margins in almost every circumstance, because you're just trying to sell to less interested people, which makes your marketing have to be a lot better. But for that reason, if you can't sell to the low-hanging fruit, you shouldn't be worrying about the fruits higher up the tree, right? So 25 is really great for like every business out there. If you're a local business to a very small area, you can go like 15 instead. But otherwise, 25 per product is a great way to force the algorithm to go for the lowest hanging fruit. And then with the lowest hanging fruit, you can get sales quicker and you'll be very profitable. And then you can start increasing the budget. Once Facebook has a few sales and it can see exactly who your target market is, it's going to be able to spend that money better later if you start with a lower number. If you really are serious about Facebook ads, I would be doing you a disservice to not tell you, book a free call with me below. It's going to be much more productive. After that, I can help you in one of two ways. I can run your ads completely for you. And for a lot of businesses out there, especially if you're doing over $10,000 per month, you can qualify to be on performance-based pay, where my team and I will only take a percentage of the revenue that we are able to generate for you. That's not everyone, but you can at least book a call with me and we'll talk a little bit more about what it would look like for you. A/B test, never do this. We will do split testing, but you don't want to do the A/B test feature. It gives up too much control, is the short answer, but just trust me on found that it's really not a good feature. For the audience segment reporting, what you're going to do is click on this or open it in a new tab, and we're going to set our engaged audience and our existing customers. If you're just getting started, okay, looks like I gotta go here instead, actually. If you're just getting started with your company and you don't really have an engaged audience, like you can still set this. It's just not going to be as important, especially if you don't have existing customers yet. You're not going to have this, but essentially what you're going to want to do is create a custom audience, go to website, and then you're going to click on your pixel that you are going to use. This account is my, test account, but AWV is all website visitors within 180 days. Is a very good one to set for, so you'd create audience there and you'd set that as your engaged audience. Facebook just wants to know who are people that have not made a purchase, but are aware of your business. And I want them to know that people who have been to my website are really engaged people, and they're just going to see your ads a little bit more is kind of what this means. Existing customers, if you have a customer list with emails, you can upload them that way, or you can do website and then you can go events, purchases. Oh, this pixel doesn't have a purchase documented on it, is why it's not letting me do it. But you would go to here and then you should see purchases below. And then you would do purchasers 180, and you'd set this to 180, which is the max that you can do. And then it's just going to know, hey, these are our existing customers. So factor that into your targeting. So filling this out, real benefit is that Facebook will learn who your target audience is a little bit quicker than if you didn't do that. It's really not detrimental if you do this, but that's all it's going to do. It's just going to find your target audience a little bit quicker than it otherwise would have. Moving on to the ad set level, I'm now at this United States one. I'm going to just get rid of the Canada one just to keep it clean for now. And the ad set name, I usually don't name it right from the beginning. I'm going to go through and do the settings first, and then I'm going to come back to it. But let's stick with ring light. How would I do this? First of all, I would always just start in one country, and you're going to want to pick the country that you feel like you're going to be able to get sales to the easiest. If you're shipping within the United States, like it's always going to be the United States. And for countries outside of the United States, a lot of times the answer is the United States as well. You're going to make sure you pick the correct data set, which in the last video, I showed you guys how to create data set / pixel and put that on your website. So go back to the video if you don't see this here, but you're going to want to do maximize number of conversions, not maximize value of conversions. And then you're going to not set a cost per result goal. That's more of a scaling thing. I would also not set these value rules. I would just ignore those. And I would also ignore all of this as long as this is set up as it is. I would do 711 for every offer. Just what this means is that anyone who clicks on an ad and buys within 7 days, Facebook will attribute the data to these ads. It will say that the ad had something to do with their sale. The 1 day engaged view or 1 day view means, hey, if they watched my ad within the last 24 hours and then left Instagram and then went to my website and bought it, then it would still give Facebook credit for getting that sale, even though they didn't technically click on the Facebook ad. But that is actually how a lot of people buy, especially Gen Z nowadays is shown to be the generation that doesn't always click on an ad, but still buys. And it's because they understand how online shopping works very well. And they'll see an ad and they'll be like, let me go check out this company or check out the competitors or see if they're on Amazon or look for a coupon code. And they go out of their way to research it a little bit more. So I want to know that they bought from my ad and that sale should be attributed rightfully to the ad. So set it to 711 if it's not, but it should be as a default. Here, you're not going to do anything either. The start date is when I click publish, and the end date is not something that you want to set, because once it would hit the end date, the campaign would just be like complete, and you would have to make a new campaign in order to keep running ads. You would only do this if you're like, I need these ads to shut off at 2 a.m. tonight and I'm not going to be awake. And even then, like, I haven't done this in like over 5 years, despite running ads for so many different companies. Like, just don't do it. It's not a good idea. When you want to turn off your ad, you're just going to come in here and you're going to toggle it off. You're just going to manually click that button one time. You can even get the Ads Manager app on your phone and just click that button to make it stop. Now, coming down here, you're going to go further the limit the reach of your ads is what you're going to want to click. Now, they've changed the name of this feature a few times over the years to make it so it's less enticing to click. Further limit the reach of your ads is what they've arrived at now. Before, it used to say switch to original audience options, but all this does is just say, hey, let me have something to say about who the audience should be. So you're going to want to go further the limit the reach of your ads and go continue. And that's all it does. All it does is give you the option to choose age and gender, and they're trying to word it in a way that like, no, let us have full control. So what you're going to do now is you're going to select age. To that, what I would say is you will want to go for the lowest hanging fruit, but I would also ask yourself this clarifying question. In the case that I'm selling a ring light, I would probably go like 18 would probably work for this type of product, honestly, even though if you said that 18 to 21-year-olds don't spend money online, that would be a pretty accurate statement. So because I'm going for the lowest hanging fruit right away, I probably will expand to 18 later, but I actually would just do 21 at least. And then on the high end, your ad, even if you have it set to 65 plus, it's not going to evenly distribute this budget across all of the ages. And that's why it is generally okay to leave it open a little bit. But I think at least excluding 18, 19, 20 is a good idea for pretty much every business, just because they're just not quite at the age yet where they actively spend money online. You're going to want to do that. And then for a content creator, I would still probably like at least cap it off at like 59. It's not like it's going to really show to 65-year-olds anyways. If it does, it's because they know that they're looking for a ring light. So if you were to ask yourself the question, who's a better client? A 35-year-old not looking for a ring light or a 58-year-old looking for a ring light? Well, obviously the 58-year-old looking for a ring light is still a better client. And these ads are going to show to people looking to buy a ring light today. So let me make this point as well. You don't need to be getting really into your customer avatars with Facebook ads nearly as much as people think. They're like, oh yeah, our ideal client, like to sell this ring light, is someone that they read a lot of books. They're really big on personal growth. They love online marketing. They love Gary Vaynerchuk. They love Tony Robbins. Yeah, that's our ideal client. Your ideal client, actually very simply, is someone looking to buy a ring light today. For that reason, age doesn't matter as much. I would probably still cap it off at like 60 in this case, just because it would be pretty rare to find a content creator if that's who you're really going for. And then for use it as a suggestion, what that means is exactly what you'd think. Facebook is trying to say, yeah, but can we show to 61-year-olds and 19-year-olds when we think it's a good idea? I would say no. I would say, no, you cannot, Facebook. This is not a suggestion. This is a rule. So I would check that. For genders, again, like even if you're like, well, I think there's more women content creators, you would keep it on all. You're not trying to go for, I think there's more of a certain gender in my industry. You would only refine it if, and set the rule even, if you were like selling like perimenopause supplements or something, is something I've sold in the past. Yeah, just run it to women. Even though if I'm selling like something for men's health, a lot of times women buy men's health products. So I might not rule her out, but you're only going to refine by gender when you cannot possibly sell to the other one. Otherwise, it's just going to naturally show way more to your target gender anyways. One example is I ran ads for a Pilates coach. And even though Pilates was founded by a man, it's about 90% women that do Pilates, or even 95. She doesn't run to women though. We run to all. The ad just naturally shows to 95% women and 5% men because it knows who's interested in Pilates. So it's not going to show equally just because we select all. It's still just not going to exclude that gender or that age. Just because they're rare doesn't mean I don't want to show them ads. So custom audiences, you're not going to do anything here. Besides, a lot of times I will exclude like people who have bought recently. So I won't exclude purchasers from like 180 days, but if I wanted to make a different custom audience, which you can do right here, and I wanted to make one for people who have bought within the last 30 days, that's something that I commonly do. I exclude people who have bought in the last 30 days from seeing my ads because, yeah, I don't want them. They just bought. I don't need to be wasting money, and I want the ads to go off and show to new people. With languages, you're going to be only doing this like if you're running ads in countries that speak a ton of different languages is the only time that you would do this. If you're running ads in the United States, as we are in this example, I'm actually not going to select English, even though I'm going to write my ads in English. And the reason why is because there's a lot of people who have not selected their language. And I don't want to rule them out just because they haven't selected English as their language. If I'm running the ads in America and I'm writing them in English, I know it's going to find the right people. So it's better to actually just leave this open. And then you'd be good right there. For placements, what this is if you wanted to control where your placements go, and you're going to have to come in here and you're going to have to manually turn some of these off. I think it's just a better idea to actually just leave this automatically on. It does earn Facebook's good favor. This is something that they really, really, really want you to select. Although I will say the ads in the search results column very rarely gets a sale. It's very cheap to advertise there as well, but someone just typed in pie recipes and then they see your ad to sell them t-shirts here. They're already on a mission to look for pie recipes. It's pretty hard to distract them and get a sale, but it is very cheap to advertise there. So, some marketers, as I said in the past, I was like, turn this off. It's a waste of money. And if you want to do that, you're totally good to do so. For the sake of earning Facebook's good favor, just because I do use almost all of their other options on manual, I do let them have this one. That's kind of what my philosophy is. And if you wanted to disagree with that, that would be one that I'm like, it is so debatable. Whether you turn off search results or you just leave it on, totally debatable. But in this case, I would call this United States 21 to 60 is what this would be. Okay. And if I am not running to any other different audiences, I would only have one ad set. Now, moving to the ad level, you're going to want to start this authentication if you are seeing that, or if it wants you to add a phone number. It's not adding a phone number to your ad. It's just to confirm your account. So make sure you do that. And then you're going to want to come in here, put in your website URL there. And then this is where you would set up the creative. So this is the complicated part. You're going to select the media. So I'm just going to go with this. And I'm going to go back to this creative setup step. So you can see what it typically will say. If you are running ads that have a promo code in the ad, which I recommend for 100% of e-commerce companies, you should have a promo code in your ad, even if it's 5%, even if it's get free shipping, even if it's 10%, and you're going to want to put it in here, because what this does is that once they click on your ad, it's going to automatically put the coupon code into the checkout for them. And it's going to just reduce that friction. And before, what would happen is you'd like tell people the code in the ad, and they'd go on your website and they'd get to that last step, and then they'd forget the code, and then they have to exit out, and then they have to go back to the ad and read it. And sometimes it would lose all of that information. It doesn't really do so anymore. They've gotten smart with it, and it remembers what's in your cart. But anything you can do to improve the convenience of a funnel is the most impactful thing that you can do to optimize it. Site links don't do this. This is if you wanted your ad to have multiple links instead of just one link. The only time I would ever recommend this is if you are, again, a clothing company and you wanted to do jeans, t-shirts, jackets, sweaters. That is not a bad idea. For most companies, what these would be is home, about us, contact us. It's not a good idea. You want to show them a product. You want to give them one link that goes to that product page. You don't want to be like giving them option fatigue when it's not necessary. So a single call to action is much more powerful. So don't do site links. You're going to usually have to go in here and turn that off. For products, this is okay, but I will detail this in a second, what that is actually going to look like. At this phase, it's actually really simple. You're just going to, click on the different options, And then position your ad how you want it to be. So square, basically what it means is feed. When the ad shows on the Instagram or the Facebook feed, how do you want it to display? So you're pretty much gonna always do original. If you did a 4x5 image ad, as you should, right? If you're doing image ads, you do want to do a 1080 by 1350 pixels ad, and you would click original. In this case, I would never, ever, ever run an ad that is horizontal. It's a terrible idea. So you would at least want to go 1 by 1. Don't worry about what it says for recommended at all. Completely ignore the recommended at this phase. It's just going to show you what the ad's going to look like. And you at least want a square, but recommend to do a taller image. And then it's going to say, hey, vertical placements. When it shows on stories and reels, what do you want the ad to look like? Do you want it to look like this on the stories, or do you want it to look like that? And I would say, well, I want it to look probably, like that. This is a little tight, obviously, but if you can make it work where it's a full screen ad and it's not cut off, do that. Otherwise, you can run the original, and then you can also replace it. A lot of people ask me about this. Hey, should I put in, during the replacement, should I make a 9x16 ad? Should I make a 1.9 by 1 ad separate, and I should replace it? The answer is that an ad will gain like a 3 to 5% conversion boost if you were to have like completely, redesigned ads that fit these different placements. I usually don't start with these. If I'm testing an ad, I don't want to spend all this time making an ad just to pull it. I would more recommend just do all of this normal. And then if an ad is doing great, you can come back and you can make the 9x16 and the wide version of it, and then you can come back and replace them later. For writing the text, I don't want to do it at this phase. I want to do it when I can actually see the live preview of the ad. For making these decisions, I have a separate video that I'm going to link below that is called Advantage Creative Enhancements, when you should turn everything on. And I'm going to, in full detail tell you what all these do. The short answer I'm going to give you in this video, this should pretty much always be off. So just go off. This should 100% of the time be off. Flex media, always off. Add overlays, 100% of the time should be off. Visual touch-ups, 100% of the time should be off. Add music. If you want to manually go through and pick the songs, you should do it. Otherwise, if you don't want to just use the automatic music, it's going to pick 5 songs and at least 3 of them are going to be very weird. You should just turn it off and just know it's completely fine to not have the music. But if you want to hand select the music, then that's fine. Text improvements, 100% of the time should be off. Add animation, I usually leave on, but in this case, it's not even eligible. I'm still going to leave it on, so Facebook thinks I'm using its features, but it does a pretty good job when it actually does work. And those are the simple answers, but you can check out the full length video if you really want to know exactly what each of them do. And there's different options for videos too. So now coming into these different sections, what is the primary text? The primary text is the caption as you know it. It appears above the ad on Facebook and below the ad on Instagram, like so. The headline, which is not what marketers say as the headline typically. When we say headline, it's more going to be the first text that you see on an image. I'm going to actually just get an ad for us that will look better. Just going to skip those steps, doesn't matter. Here's an ad that I've run in the past, and the headline right there is not nearly as much the headline as Amazon sellers is, okay? So if you read a marketing book that says the headline's super important, it is, but that's the actual headline. This is just what Facebook calls it. And then description is also not rightly named because the description is the last text that they read, and you can only fill in about 3 words before you are cut off. So as you can see, that's how much room that it has. So we're not going to describe the product right here. I'm going to write one for ring lights. I'm going to say, hey, content creators, are you ready to upgrade your ring light to one that gives you ultra professional look you see from your favorite YouTubers. Guess what? That is horrible copywriting. However, this is how copywriting starts. You just write it as long as you possibly need to, and then you go back and delete words later is a better way to do it. Hey, content creators. I'm going to go like that too, and I'm also going to go capital C and capital C. Are you ready to upgrade your ring light to one that gives you that ultra professional look you see from your favorite YouTubers? It's not that bad. It is just a little bit wordy, so at least do that. And then you're going to say stuff like this light has 1800 lumens and 360 degree adjustment with tripod to give you everything you're looking for. For a limited time, you can get it for 20% off using code LIGHT20. Okay, that might be what my caption looks like. In this case, the headline would be just very plainly letting people know what the product is. Professional ring light, 20% off. I'm not going to give you guys all the secret sauce in this video because, yeah, my free guide is going to be a lot better for doing so. And this is more to help you with the setup, not, the professional copywriting at every stage of this. And then the description, I'm going to get rid of that. So because the description preview doesn't show unless this is just a single line headline. However, the description will show in your ad. It's super annoying. It's been happening for the last 2 years, but it is what it is. For the description, sometimes I'll even just put the price is not a bad idea. It's the last thing that someone's going to read. You can also put something like free shipping here. You could also put something like made in America. You could also put something like 4.76 out of 5 stars are some of my favorite descriptions, to name a few. But you should see this as what I like to call a closing value point. It's the last thing that someone's going to see when they read your ad. And it's only part of the Facebook ad, so it can't be like imperative information that's not mentioned anywhere else. But that's usually what it's going to be, is it's going to be that final little kiss. Now, here's the AI components that we need to be aware of. This is an ad account that I haven't really run ads on. It's just my account for making videos. And for that reason, I did not see AI things that it's going to ask me if I want to add. Let me go into a different account so I can explain one more thing. I put in this very basic Black Friday sale ad, and we're going to see what it gives me. For the image generation, a lot of these are good, but it's like you can't really do these still, right? They're not really that helpful. So let me just tell you that a design rule that you want to live by is that every element within your ad should pertain to the sale of the product, building the urgency, describing the product, showing the product. Even people in it like this usually doesn't help unless the person is being used to demonstrate how the product works, or to show like a size comparison, or like how to take the product or use the product. Unless that is what the person is doing, like a smiling person is not usually necessary unless you're like a personal brand and everyone recognizes your face. In this case, like using an AI person is not a good idea. Even AI UGC, I'm not always the biggest fan of, but AI UGC videos that like people really can't tell, but like something like this, just like, oh, there's a smiling person. Not necessary at all. Like this would do better than this random lady like in Walmart is not necessary. Something like this, you could say, hey, there's an orange background versus a black one. This one has got a little bit of holiday theme to it. This one is a little bit better too. So if you love these ads, go for it. If you don't love the ads, then don't use it. It's as simple as that. Or you can also click generate new images and see what you can get. I think the only times that I ever choose it is just like a different colored background of the one that I was doing before. And usually that's not even that big of a difference maker when it comes to the ads performance. Like something like this would be, but it would be better to use your actual product than this no name blank bottle here. So if you just don't use these at all, you're going to be in much better shape than if you try to force yourself to use these. I'm going to go to skip and continue. And then for the video generation, you're going to want to just click however many you want to do. Like in this case, okay, you click generate videos. It's going to take 4 minutes and it's going to give me some kind of animation with this. Again, you should mess with it. And every month of 2026, it's going to be a better program. It is significantly better right now in December than it was in November. And it was significantly better in November than October. You're going to want to mess with this is the best answer that I can give you. Let's see what video it gave me. Guess what? I kind of like that one. Well, it's only 3 seconds is kind of the issue. But like in this case, like where it's this simple of an image, of course, it can't really mess it up that much. Facebook usually doesn't like ads that are like less than 7 seconds anyways. So don't love that. I would probably want to click like one other image in here, or I would just tell you if you really want to do that kind of video, maybe just make this in Canva and everything. It's acceptable. A lot of times it will give you acceptable ads, but it will rarely give you ads that are better than what you initially gave it. Okay, so last thing, I wanted to come over into this different ad account that does have AI caption generating feature that most of you are going to see. I threw in a very basic caption because you do have to start there. But this is the other thing that Facebook at least really wants you to use this year. Another feature is this tailor variation to persona. So let me just show you, there's a couple different ways to do this. If I turn this off, it's just going to show me, hey, here's some other caption recommendations based on the caption that you wrote. And they're not going to be very different. They're more just going to be syntax variations. When it comes to doing syntax variations, I would just tell you, just turn them off. All right. I really don't like the captions that it writes for you. They're very rarely better than the one that you did. They usually are just elongating what you said and just unnecessarily expanding it. And that's just horrible. But you better be saying more things, not just saying the same thing in longer words. That's one of the worst things that you can actually do. And that's what the AI does. Now, this tailor variation to personas is going to be something that advanced advertisers are able to leverage. So let me show you an example here, because with the ring light, I'm going to have a few different kinds of personas, and it's going to try to guess them for me. And in this case, it did guess correctly. We have those who are aspiring to be social media content creators. And then we also have professional content creators. So it did it very well there. YouTube beauty vloggers. In this case, I'd probably say I wouldn't really go for that sub niche here, but I would certainly want to write different ads for an aspiring social media person than a professional content creator. If it does not give you good ideas for these avatars, you can click right here. You can switch it. And if you switch it, you're certainly going to want to describe the person. Because Facebook was able to generate this for me, I can rightly assume it knows who I'm talking about, but let me just describe it a little bit further and say someone who has wanted to be a content creator and would love to pursue this passion, but hasn't quite taken the leap of faith yet. And you're going to apply it. And then I'm going to write a caption for this persona. This is essentially what Facebook 2026 is trying to be about, whether it works out super well for them and thus for us, aspiring social media person. So let's say I would write a caption that said, instead of, hey, content creators, let's say I do the exact same caption, but all I do is swap the beginning of it. So I might say, ready to pursue your dreams of becoming a content creator. It all starts with a professional ring light. And then I'm just going to say the same thing. And then I'm going to click that. And that would be how you would do it. You're not going to want to write a completely different caption. You're basically just going to want to write a different first sentence. That's going to give you a much better way of going about this than if you try to write completely different captions for everyone. Just write a different first and maybe second sentence just so it bridges correctly. And you do not want to be like, oh, like young content creators, I'm going to write one for like a young content creator, like, hey, you're young, but you should become a content creator. That doesn't even make sense. All right. A lot of these suggestions are going to be people who aren't actually your customer avatar. So you're going to have to be good about this and just knowing it's probably going to be 2, maybe 3 tops. Okay. Like none of you should be doing like for 4 different personas, because then you're just getting too fancy. Your client is someone looking to buy your product today. In this case, I'm just going to have the main distinction of someone who hasn't started their content creation journey yet and doesn't have a ring light. And then in this case, someone who does have a ring light, then I'm trying to get them to upgrade. So then I would click on that. And then now it's going to run this caption sometimes. It's going to run this caption sometimes. And it's going to run this one sometimes. And I'm just going to have to trust Facebook's algorithm that it knows who these people are. I would only tell you guys to use this feature when you know there are truly different pitches that you should be doing out there. If you are selling a product that has really just one major use case scenario that's going to appeal to like over 90% of your potential clients, I would not worry about this feature and I would certainly turn it off. Now, I do actually like the AI headline recommendations a lot of the times though. So let's say I say professional ring light as like the headline, and let's just see what generation gives me. Light up your creations with 2100 lumens. I like it. 2100K lumens ring light, not bad either. Brighten up your content, brighten up your feed. That one wouldn't make sense. 2100 lumens ring light, I would probably just say like, all right, just pick one of these 2, right? Now, why would I be like, picking one of these 2? Why wouldn't I just use both? Well, they are the exact same thing. So in this case, like, should I run both of these? Absolutely not. Just pick one, because I'm not trying to divide out the engagement if I don't need to. I'm only doing so if it's a legitimate test that I really don't know what's going to happen. That is how I would choose that. And then description, you can do different description options. Sometimes this is on like half of the ad accounts out there, but you might do something like made in America, and then you might be like free exchanges or 14-day money back guarantee is another one. Like that's the kind of thing that you put at the description. You don't describe the product. You only have that much room. Okay. Last thing that you need to do is select the button. You basically have 2 options. You have learn more or whatever would make sense with your offer, right? If you're selling tickets to a concert, do buy tickets. I would tell you for almost every business out there to not do your learn more option. If you're selling clothes, do shop now, do order now. This makes your ad so that only really interested people will click on it. And that's the only people you want clicking on your ad, because as soon as they click on your ad, they're going to see it at least another 3 to 5 times. I don't want people to like click to learn more. I only want you to click to order, to book, to apply. I only do learn more if you're going to send to like a really long webinar, which is very few types of offers nowadays. And usually those are going to be for course creators and, webinars and things like that. Make sure you use the sales verbiage button, and then you would click publish, and you'd be good to go. Your ads are going to turn on usually within an hour. And I have lots of other videos to, what do you do next? How do you create the images? You're going to want to make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Check out everything else. Go to socialbamboo.com and see all of the free resources on there, including the free call, which you should take me up on at this point. If you made it through this entire video, the next best thing that you can do is not to press publish on your own ads. It's to book a call with me before you press publish on your own ads. And even so, before you even start making them. Right now is the best time for you to book this call with me, no matter where you're at in the process. The earlier, the better. Because otherwise you're going to be spending a lot of time. Trust me, I've done this for over 8 years now, and I wouldn't still be helping business owners with this if pretty much every person I talked to really, really needed me. This is something that is extremely hard to do correct the first time. And if you let me guide you through this a bit more, I'm going to more than pay for myself. So book that call, check out the other videos on my channel, and I'll talk to you soon.